I just want to make sure the Bhanteji is on the call right now and is audible. Bhanteji, you can hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, so we're going to start the session very soon, but before that, I would like to introduce to you to this online forum called the Online Buddha Vihara.
Okay.
And the Online Buddha Vihara we started from 2011. We are having the family coming to this online forum all the time. So we are now 15 families on the call. So friends, I would like to introduce Bhanteji, Venerable Bhante Sanata Vihari Bhikkhu, who is from the Los Angeles, California Buddha Vihara. And I will give a quick introduction here. Venerable Los Angeles Sanata Bhikkhu was ordinated on Vesak on May 7, 2015 at Sarata Chandra Buddhist Center, North Hollywood, California. And Sanat Vihari, is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes, Sanata Vihari.
Sanat Vihari was ordinated by the Venerable Ambala Nath Thota Polita Nayaka Thera. He is a royal pandit and abbot of Sarat Chandra Buddhist Center. From then until now, he has resided in the Buddhist temple, Sarata Chandra Buddhist Center. In addition, on May 15, 2017, he obtained his BA in religion from the American Military University. He recently received his high ordination at Maharangama Bhikkhu Training Center at the Nikaya Amarapura in Sri Lanka. Sanat Vihari Bhikkhu was born in Ricardo, Ortega, to a Mexican-American family in Los Angeles, California. At the age of 20 years old, he joined the United States Air Force Reserve and consequently deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan. Furthermore, at the age of 20 years old, he aspired to renounce the home life and seek ordination as a Theravada Bhikkhu, leaving behind his friends, family, house, career, and other possessions. So I was happy to meet Bhanteji at the Mexico City airport along with his teacher, and then we had some conversation about the online Buddha Vihara. And happy to see you, Bhanteji. So today's topic is revival of Buddhism in Latin American countries, especially Mexico and other country. Bhanteji is very fluent in the Spanish also, and they are working to spread Buddhism in the Latin American countries. So Bhanteji, welcome to the online Vihara, and we are happy to see you and happy to hear from you. We also have kids on the call, and they we had a story time, and they talk about the fear.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, brothers and sisters in Dhamma, for having me here today. I guess I'll just share a little bit about my experience in spreading the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma with people that speak Spanish. So, when I came to this temple, Sarath Chandra Buddhist Center, there was already a pretty big group, a significant group of Spanish-speaking people from all different parts of the world, Peruvians, Central Americans, Mexicans, many South Americans. So there was many different people here, but it was mostly an older group. I was the only young person here. And it was pretty much a small, tight group that had been coming here for a long time. But little by little, more younger people started showing up that speak Spanish here, because in Southern California, there's a huge Latino community. And after a year after I was ordained, one man from Spain sent me a message. He got in contact with me through Facebook, and he asked me to open a group on Facebook to do online meditation and to share Dhamma online. And I was a little hesitant at first. I wasn't sure if that's something that I wanted to do, if I wanted to make that commitment. But then he assured me that he was going to help me do all the organization. So we started a group called Casa de Bhavana, which just means like meditation house. Um, and within a year, we got up to 1,000 followers. We also started a YouTube channel called Monje en la Modernidad, which means monk in modern times. And we've also got a good following there of a couple hundreds of people on YouTube. Recently, I also translated one of my teacher's books, An Introduction into Buddhism, into a Spanish language medium. And we've personally, I've given over like 300 copies in Mexico of that book, and it's also available on Amazon as Volver a la Tranquilidad, which means returning to tranquility. Once a week, we host online meditations every Thursday for people all over the world. So people from France that speak Spanish, people from Spain, people from Mexico, people from Argentina, people from all over the world, even parts of Africa. Some people speak Spanish. They log on once a week, and we practice Metta Bhavana, we practice Anapanasati, and we talk about Dhamma. I share different suttas with them. And this community started to grow, so I also offer online courses on particular suttas. So we'll have like a 2 or 3 hour Dhamma discussion on maybe Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta or Satipatthana Sutta or any other sutta. And I do this usually once a month. We also host retreats in Mexico. That's when I on our way back, that's when I ran into the gentleman that invited me here today. So far, we've hosted 4 retreats in Mexico. 1 in the state of Zacatecas, which is central Mexico. 2 in the state of Mexico itself, near the city of Mexico. And 1 in Baja California, near Cabo San Lucas. So we've been traveling throughout Mexico, hosting retreats in Spanish. And we also do some retreats here in Los Angeles in Spanish. We've done some, especially for the young Latino community. They're bilingual, so we run the meditation retreats both in English and in Spanish. Let me think of what else. We have a website called casadebhavana.com, and right there people can download free meditation instructions. They can download articles from other monks. They can download a free meditation book. They can listen to guided meditations, breathing meditation, metta meditation. They can get some sort of very brief understanding of what we're trying to do. What is the meditation practice? What is Dhamma? And those kind of things. And they also can get information about our next retreats that are going on throughout Mexico. So in our next retreats in Mexico should be around Thanksgiving. We should have one in central Mexico. And then in December, we should have a retreat in the city of Mexico itself. And then in January, we're going to have a retreat in Madrid, Spain. And then hopefully in May, we'll have a retreat in Argentina. So those are the 4 retreats that are coming up, 2 in Mexico, 1 in Spain, and 1 in Argentina. And usually when I travel, I take with me different monks so they can share their experiences and share their Dhamma. And I'm usually translating for them because they're Sri Lankan monks. They speak English, so I have to translate from English to Spanish while they're giving their Dhamma talks. But the people in Mexico have not found that to be an issue. They're actually very happy. They don't mind the translation process. And I've received nothing but positive feedback everywhere I travel. And people are excited to see Buddhist monks everywhere we go. People are very friendly. Spanish-speaking people are very curious and interested. And they want to learn more. Unfortunately, when it comes to Dhamma online, I've noticed there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of misinformation. Most people, what they know about Buddhism is from movies, cartoons, pop culture, or like memes and quotes that they see on Facebook and Instagram that are not actual quotes of the Buddha. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about what is Dhamma, what are the suttas, what is the Vinaya, who was the Buddha, what did the Buddha teach, and what are Buddhist monks. So I would say about half of the time I spend trying to clarify these points by supporting them with actual sources. So when in a lot of Spanish Buddhist groups online, people share a lot of things, a lot of information about Buddhism, but there's no sourcing. So people are just kind of like misinterpreting or putting it in their own words, or they're not sure if that actual Buddha said that. So what I try to do every time I share something is I put the sutta. In this sutta, it says this. This Dhammapada says this. In the Vinaya, it says this. So one problem in the Spanish community when it comes to Dhamma is it's kind of like the Wild West. Anything goes. So there's a lot of mixture of New Age, Hinduism, and Confucianism, and Taoism. And it's all kind of mixed together. And people don't really know what's the difference and what is the actual teachings of the Buddha and where to find it. There isn't that many books that have been translated into Spanish about Buddhism. So they really don't have a lot of sources to go by. They usually have to get English books. So some of them that do know English, then they try to communicate that in Spanish. So a lot of what I've been doing is working on translations. I've been translating suttas. I've been translating particular words, concepts, terminology, polyterminology, trying to find the best word for it in Spanish, which is a difficult process. And that's pretty much what I've been doing so far. I don't know if anyone has any questions about these things that I've touched upon.
Okay, Banteji, thank you very much for giving us the information about spreading the Buddhism in Mexico. And now we will open the forum for the question and answer. So, friends, you can unmute yourself. And if you have any questions, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself on the online. So, Banteji, while other people are thinking,
yes,
I have a very basic question and the personal that you have a very good life. You work on the U.S. military, Air Force, and also coming from a very good family and work in Afghanistan and Iraq also. What make you to become a monk?
What motivates you?
Yeah, good question. Actually, in the beginning, I was just trying to, develop myself, grow as a person. So I was doing many things. I was exercising. I was doing martial arts. I was swimming, weightlifting, doing yoga, practicing meditation. So I was just really trying to work on myself, trying to develop myself, trying to overcome whatever things that needed to be overcome. And then the teachings of the Buddha really started resonating with me as I started reading the suttas. So I had read many Buddhist books before by other monks, by many different kinds of monks in different traditions. But it sounded nice, but it didn't really connect with me. Not until I started reading the suttas that I really say, wow, like there's something different, something special here. And through reading the suttas, that motivated me to start to practice more diligently, to have better behavior, better lifestyle, better speech, change my goals in life, and meditate more. And it helped me develop my meditation practice. Then I went on a few retreats, and I really enjoyed those experiences, and it really transformed me. My family members, my friends, everyone noticed. My coworkers in the military also noticed, wow, this person is changing. He's not the same person that he was before. So once I noticed the positive changes, and other people around me and my family and my mother noticed the positive changes, I figured that I just want to do this full time. I want to completely dedicate myself to this practice. So then I sought ordination here at Sarachandra Buddhist Center. So it was really practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, looking at the results that it gave me, seeing that those results were good, and also noticing that the people around me were telling me that that those results were good also. So when I put all these things together, I said, wow, there's really some gold here. There's something very precious here. And I just wanted to continue on that path full time. As a layperson, it's very difficult. We have obligations towards our family, towards our community. We have to do our 9 to 5. There's so many bills to pay. We're going from here to there. This is very difficult to try to find enough time to practice. So then I decided, well, I want to be a professional at what I'm doing, and the best way to do that is to become a Buddhist monk would be the best way to fully develop myself and see how far this Buddhist practice can take me.
Thank you, Bante. Any other questions, guys, who are on the call? The people who are on the phone, I will unmute you also. Any other questions? Shakti. So, Bantaji, we heard the first time that the Latin America is ready to listen the Dhamma, because we have not heard, because most of the Dhamma is spread in the Asian countries, and now it is spreading to the Western countries.
Yes.
But Latins are more Catholic.
Yes.
They are not adaptable to the other religions. It's very difficult. I also travel a lot of Latin countries, particularly Mexico. I'm traveling, and while seeing the culture there, it's not adaptable to the other religion. So, what's your thought? What is the difficulties they are coming to the Dhamma like?
Well, I've noticed that something has changed recently in Mexico. So I've been traveling to Mexico since I was a child, every year. And I actually studied over there for 1 year. During middle school, my parents sent me to Mexico to study so I can improve on my Spanish speaking ability. And recently, within the last 8 to 10 years, there's been a big change. I think it's been because of the internet. So the internet has opened up Mexico. Mexico was a very closed, conservative society that stuck to its traditions. But as soon as, this whole smartphone thing started going on, and internet became cheaper and more accessible to people, they started seeing that there's other options, and that they weren't limited to the religion that they grew up with. So the thing about Mexico with Catholicism is that most people think that to be Mexican is to be Catholic. So it's kind of like a cultural thing. Many people, they don't think of like Catholicism as something separate from being Mexican or being a religion. They're thinking that is Mexican culture. But then they come in contact with people all over the world, and they notice, well, look, there's all different kinds of people, all different races and nationalities, and everyone can follow whichever kind of religion or philosophy or ideas that they want to. People are not limited by the environment that they grew up in. And there's two kind of like perspectives, or two big trends that are happening in Mexico. One is the indigenous movement. So a lot of people in Mexico are trying to revive the traditional indigenous practices of the Native American people that were there before. So that's a huge thing that's happening now. And in the recent presidential ceremony they had for AMLO, the new president of Mexico, he actually had the indigenous people come and give him a blessing, which is something unprecedented for Mexican history. And the other thing that's happening is this New Age movement. So a lot of people are looking towards the East. There seems to be a lot of interest in Eastern culture, Eastern religion, Eastern ideas in Mexico. And I think it's this kind of like accessibility to technology. Technology, both the internet and smartphones, have transformed the religious environment in Mexico. People are not limited anymore. And people are typically looking towards the past now, towards their indigenous practices, because Catholicism was brought over to Mexico by the Europeans, and it was used as a form of controlling and changing the culture of the original Mexican people. So some people notice that and they don't like it and they're trying to get away from it. And they're either looking towards the indigenous practices or they're looking towards the East. They're looking at Hinduism, Buddhism, and other practices from Asia. But it's basically been a positive experience. Most of the people that I've met are open. They're very friendly. When I'm walking around in Mexico, people want to take pictures. They ask, what am I? What am I doing? Everyone's really friendly. So I think the environment right now is very fertile. It's very people have open minds right now. They're open to new things. And people in Mexico are always pretty much excited to see people from other countries because most Mexican people do not have the luxury of traveling. It's very difficult for them, both because of the visa situations and the expenses. So they're very happy when they can see people from other countries because they don't have the opportunity themselves to be able to travel all over the world. So it's basically been a warm environment every time I've gone to Mexico.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, Badri. This is Param here from London.
Hello.
I just wanted to know how much is the Buddhist population in the Spanish world, especially in Latin America.
Say again, please.
What's the Buddhist population there? What's the number?
Oh, it's less than, it's not even 1%.
Oh, really? Okay. So, are you trying to get more people into Buddhist fold, especially the younger generation?
Actually, my idea is simply to inform people, to make it available for those people that want to change. So most of the time I invite all different kinds of people. So we had one retreat where all the people were Catholic. And I just shared to them like, look, you can keep being Catholic, but this is some of the techniques that Buddha taught you so you don't have to suffer so much in this life. So you can overcome your greediness, so you can overcome your anger, so you can overcome your pride and all these other kinds of unwholesome tendencies that you have. So I have worked with the Christian Catholic communities and indigenous communities of Mexico, just offering them new tools to help them because, Mexican people don't have a lot of services offered to them. It's basically virtually impossible if you're not rich to get any kind of like psychological services in Mexico. And any kind of spiritual support is usually limited to Catholicism, and they don't like that kind of approach because it's at times it can seem very like condescending, or they like to blame people for whatever mistakes they've made in the past. So what I'm really trying to do is just offer them the teachings of the Buddha to improve their lives that they have already. Because Mexico has problems with obesity, has problems with corruption, has problems with poverty, problems with education. So it's really being offered as a medicine, as a therapy. And obviously there's people that are going to really like it, that are really going to take into it. And those people who are attracted to it, then those people I share more with. And if they want to, become Buddhist, that's fine. That's not my main mission in Mexico. My main mission in Mexico is just to spread knowledge of Buddhism and to help people overcome whatever kind of problems they're having. So that's the main thing I'm trying to do. But there have been a few people that have wanted to convert to Buddhism. But that to me is like icing or frosting on the cake. If they want to do that, that's fine. But I'm just really there to try to do what I can to help the people of Mexico and other places that I'm going to also, all Spanish-speaking countries and people wherever they're at in the world.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Mataji.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, there's a question, but you talked about being a monk in the modern world. Could you just give highlights about how some of the points could be used in our busy lives here in America, both for kids and parents?
Yeah.
How some principles could be used here, right?
Yeah. So there's actually one very good sutta. I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with it. It's called the Sigalovada Sutta and the Digha Nikaya. So in this Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha explains the relationships, all the relationships in society between a teacher and his student, between a parent and his children, between a husband and a wife, between a religious person and the lay disciples. So that's one sutta that I would recommend, and it's still very applicable to nowadays. There's a few things that would probably have to be modified, but in general, that's a very good sutta. What I would say is that for nowadays, we just need to be more aware of what our goals are in life. So most of the time, with good intentions, we're taught that, you know, you need to get a title, or you need to get make more money, or something like that. We're pushed. We're taught that the goal in life is to accumulate like money, possessions, titles, fame, or pleasurable experiences. So sometimes what I find with parents, and the parents have great intentions, is that there's too much focus on the mundane, on the worldly aspect for the children. They're always telling their children, you know, you have to study to get into a good college, and then you have to become like a doctor or engineer, and then you have to get the house, and then you get married, and you know, there's a lot of focus on that, but very little focus on Dhamma. So they'll bring the kids to the temple once a month, maybe if we're lucky twice a month on a weekend for Dhamma school. And really that's not enough, because every day they're hearing the opposite. Every day when they're watching TV, when they're listening to music, when they're with their friends, this kind of materialistic perspective is being pushed on them. That you need to do these things to be happy. You need to get more money to be happy. You need to have a title to be happy. You need somebody else. That's what, when you're saying, when you tell them when they get married, you're telling them you need someone else in your life for you to be happy. Your happiness depends on conditions. Your happiness depends on cars, wealth, titles, fame, other people. So those things are necessary, but I feel like that there's too much of an emphasis on that. And what I fear to happen is that later, these children, these Buddhist children, will kind of take up this materialistic perspective, and they're going to end up putting their parents in like old people houses for them to take care of them. They won't be keeping them at home and taking care of them like in traditional Asian families. That's one worry that I have. And another worry that I have is that they won't see the value in Dhamma. They'll just see the value in material things, the value in seeking pleasurable experiences. So I think to the extent that we put emphasis on getting a good education, getting a good job, getting married, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We also need to kind of counterbalance that with Dhamma, with Buddhism. Because if not, they're going to be lopsided, and they're going to take this kind of materialistic agenda as their main agenda. That's going to be their goal. Their goal is going to be that. Their goal is not going to be Nibbana. Their goal is not going to be to become a Sotapanna. They're not going to have any Buddhist goals. Their goals are just going to be, you know, what can I do now to make myself happy in this moment? Or receive pleasure, or get some sort of attention. All the kids now are basically just seeking attention. That's what Facebook is about. That's what Instagram's about. That's what Snapchat's about. That's what YouTube's about. Now they're even called social influencers. So it's all about attention. It's all about me. How many likes can I get? How many shares can I get? And this is making the children very egocentric. They're thinking about themselves more, and their happiness depends upon them being validated by other people that they've never even known. So parents have to be aware of this. Parents have to try to kind of manage their children's online time and social dimensions that they're using online. Because especially for young girls, I saw a recent study that said that due to this kind of like online peer pressure and online demand for attention, teenage girls are very susceptible to like depression and other kind of mental disorders to develop due to all this kind of like emphasis on like, I need to be liked, I need to be validated by other people. So it's very important for parents to kind of monitor their children's online activity The boys also playing a lot of video games online, and they get into these groups, and they're playing, when they play online, there's a lot of adults in these video games too. So there's all kinds of like bad language, obscene language. The kids are all cursing at each other, calling each other names, saying that they're going to kill each other. And all this stuff. So also we need to be very careful with the boys who are playing these kind of like shooting games like Fortnite and Battlefield, Call of Duty. That's something that the parents also need to be aware of. But the simple thing that we can do, a couple things that we can do, is try to be mindful all the time. Be mindful of what we're saying, what we're doing, what we're watching, what we're listening, what we're eating, who we're associating with, where we're going. And also we have to ask ourselves a question, a very honest question all the time. Is this wholesome for me? Is this wholesome for others? Is this wholesome for me and others? So that's actually the Buddha's formula to see if whatever you're thinking, saying, or doing is something that's adequate to be doing. It's something that's skillful to be doing. If it's something that's kusala, we have to ask ourselves, is this wholesome for me, wholesome for others, wholesome for me and others? So these are just a few things that come to my mind right now about how we can apply the Dhamma in this kind of like modern environment.
That is a great answer, very practical. Thank you very much, Bhante.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other question? Last minute, we have almost 11:30, and Bhanteji only give us a time till 11:30. So last question, anything? So Bhanteji, looks like no one has a question, but Bhanteji, do you have any questions to us?
No, I would just like to, give you some encouragement. I think what you're doing is very good. It's good to have this kind of community that reaches beyond your local area. And it's good that you keep doing this and that you involve the children. I'm so happy to hear that you have kids online also. I really, most of the time here at this temple, I focus on working with the youth. So the children from like 7 years old all the way up to like college level. I really try to get them involved because they're the ones that are most disconnected. So I'm so happy to know that you're always involving children and that you're sharing stories, because stories are a really good way to teach children because it keeps them engaged. Instead of just, you should do this, you should do that. Buddha said this, Buddha said don't do that. That's very difficult. Kids get bored and they don't like to be told what to do. But if you share stories, they can learn from the stories by themselves. They can get the meaning out of it. They can get the moral of the story. So I was so happy to hear that you're sharing stories with them and that you have them involved here. And I would just like to encourage you to keep this going and, to keep this kind of a format going where you involve the children and you're sharing stories with them. I think it's a very positive thing. And the future of Buddhism depends on these children. They're the ones that have to keep the Dhamma going. And if we promote the Western materialistic culture, they're gonna not practice Dhamma. So if we put too much emphasis on that, within 2 generations, it's all gone. There won't be any more Buddhism.
Correct. Yeah, that's rightly said, Bhanteji. Yeah. Pankaj, do you have any question, Pankaj? Hello?
Hey, Mahesh, I just have a quick question for Bhanteji.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we still have time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bhanteji mentioned that he focuses on the youth from 7 to whatever 18 age. Is this an online forum, Bhanteji, or is this like a vihara you have?
It's a vihara, but I have some videos online on my YouTube channel that I can share.
Yes, please.
So I'll put a link right now in the chat.
That would be great, Bhanteji.
And also, Bhanteji, you mentioned you are also running the similar forum. I believe it is in Spanish, maybe.
Yes. So yes, I have an online forum that I'm doing in Spanish language.
Okay.
So I'm sharing a link to one video right now, and that'll take you to my channel. And then you can see a couple other, these are English talks for, Dhamma talks for children.
Thank you so much, Bhanteji. We'll take a look. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up on the session? Pankaj, looks like you had a question. Pankaj, go ahead. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm listening. Nice, sir.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
So Bhanteji, one just quick comment from my side. So, something, we visited Mexico and all these Latin American countries, but, most of the times we see that, there are churches, there's an influence of Christianity. So when you began your, this journey, how did it happen, penetrating into these Latin American countries would have been very difficult, right? So help us understand that part.
So I was lucky because a lot of people reached out to me online through Facebook, through our Facebook group that we have, and they were telling me, Bhante, we want to practice meditation, we want to learn more about Buddhism, but all the Buddhist retreats or any kind of meditation retreat in Mexico is too expensive. They're charging around like 3,000 pesos. So that's too expensive for the regular person. They can't afford that. And they told me it seems like Buddhism in Mexico is only for rich people. So the Buddhism that there is in Mexico, unfortunately, has been very commercialized. So people were inviting me to go to Mexico. So when I went over there, I received a very warm welcome because I was invited. And actually, my family in Mexico, they supported me and they helped me realize the first retreat in Mexico. So my mom, my aunties, my cousins, my uncles, everyone, they cooked the dana, they prepared the hall, they were taking care of the people during the whole retreat. So I got a lot of support from my family members, from my friends that were there, from the online community. So I haven't really experienced any real resistance when I've been in Mexico. Like I said earlier, I think within the last couple 8 to 10 years, the internet and smartphones has really changed Mexico a lot, because I've been going there every year since I was a child. And once high-speed internet and once everyone had internet on their phones, people saw that the world is different, that there's so many options, that they don't have to be they don't have to stick to the culture or the religion or the habits or customs that they grew up with. The world's available to them now. They can be a citizen of the world, and they can choose to be however and whoever they want to be. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, and that's opened up people's mind and made them more likely to seek different ways of being and seek different religious practices like Buddhism. So I think Mexico right now is really at a good place for Dhamma to go to Mexico. The unfortunate thing is that there isn't many Spanish-speaking monks. Very, very few, like only a handful in the whole world. And that's the sad part. So I think the Mexico is ready, and there's a lot of potential, but there isn't any monks or even lay people to go over there and really capitalize on that possible potential to spread Dhamma in Mexico. That's really like the downfall or the negative aspect of what's going on right now in Mexico.
So much, Bhanteji. That was really heartening to know that family and friends were, very supportive. And then, with the advent of the smartphone and all, it becomes really very easy to choose what we want to choose. Thank you so much for all your efforts. This is very, very heartening to know somebody in Spanish, doing this our Dhamma, spreading the Dhamma.
Thank you.
So, Bhanteji, we also have a couple families in Los Angeles area. We will introduce to your Vihara. We have some local families, Indian families there. So we are going to introduce to you, and they probably will visit you there.
Yes. Please let them know that we have a Dhamma school for children here, on Saturdays. And if they can get in contact with me, then they can bring their children once and see if they like it. See if the kids would like to be part of our Dhamma school program.
Correct. Yeah. The 649-721-3516. You have any question? Please, you're on the phone. So, Bhanteji, then thank you very much for joining today. I think we are going to wrap up the session, but this is not the end, Bhanteji. In near future, if you get a time, if you talk about the sutta you mentioned, I forgot the name of the sutta. What was the sutta, Bhanteji, you mentioned?
Oh, Sigalovada Sutta, Digha Nikaya.
Oh, Sigalovada Sutta. If you get a time in near future, I know you are very busy, monk, and traveling to the Mexico City and other places. So, but if you get a time near future, please try to join it. And if you can explain the sutta more in detail, it will be great. Yeah, and we'll include the children also on the call to understand the sutta.
Yes, I'd be more than happy to do that. And before I leave, I'd just like to share some blessings with everyone here. So by the power of the Buddha, the Supremely Awakened One, Dhamma, his teachings, Sangha, his noble disciples, may you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. May you be free from worries, free from any illness, free from suffering, and may you eventually reach the ultimate and supreme bliss of the Nibbana. So now just I'll say it in Pali, just to keep it a little traditional. Sabitiyo vivanjantu sabberogo vinasatu mate bhavantwanterayo sukhidigayuko bhavetu sabbe mangelan rakantu sabbe devata sabbe buddhanubhavena sabbe dhammanubhavena sabbe sanghanubhavena sada soti bhavan tuti. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Sadhu. And thank you very much for addressing to the online vihara. Thank you very, very much here. And thank you, friend, for the joining on the online forum. And again, see you next week, same time, same calling number, same online ID. And see you next week on Sunday.